Now that we've gone over the 4 S's, if a business owner came in and wanted to work on, let's say, skill set, particularly communication, how would you address that with the business owner?
Great question. So we have a lot of tools at Sandler to work with, but 2 benchmarking tools we work with in particular would address communication. One, for example, would be extended DISC.
Communication styles, there's so many different ones. How do you use the extended DISC to help people understand those communication styles?
You aren't kidding. Communication is critical, not just in business, but in life in general. And so one of the tools that we use would be extended DISC. And we ask the participants in Sandler to take an extended DISC and give them a sense of what their own communication, natural communication style would look like and feel like. So for example, someone may have a D-C combination, because we typically aren't just one style of communication. So if you look at the board up here, and you identify a D style, that would be somebody who's decisive, tough, impatient, strong-willed, competitive, demanding, independent, and direct. So the way you'd want to communicate with that person is you'd want to give them immediate feedback, you'd want to concentrate on the subject, and you'd want to maintain results orientation. But at the same time, you'd want to recognize with that particular style of communication and that particular kind of person, you don't want to frustrate his or her desire to take action. You don't want to restrict his or her power, and you don't want to spend time on non-essential items. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. I see from the chart there are 3 other communication styles. Tell us a little more about those.
Be happy to. So if we just spoke about the D style, so let's look at the S style, because they're on the opposite ends, if you will. So an S style person would be, you'd want to look at them and you'd identify them as being the calm, steady, laid-back kind, as opposed to the domineering or the D. They're caring, they're patient, they're amiable, they listen carefully, they're very sincere, they're mostly modest and indecisive, and they're trustworthy. So the things you'd want to do with them is you want to slow down a little bit. You want to take your time with them. You want to provide assurances and support, and you want to give them enough time to decide. But the things you don't want to do is you don't want to be restless, and you don't want to pressure them for action, and you're not going to ask them to make a sudden change, and you can't fail to deliver on the promises that you make to them. Make sense?
That makes sense. What about the blue one?
So blue would be the C style in every organization. Somebody in there has got some C in them. Some have a lot of C. But the C would be a precise, exact person. So when I think about, for example, technical skills, accounting, bookkeeping, those would be examples, just many, or compliance of skills you'd want to have for that. Those are people that are precise, exact, they're analytical, they're logical, they're systematic, they're quiet. They're maybe not the most expressive people on your team, but they're very careful, they're very formal, and they're disciplined. And so the things you want to do with them is give them detailed information, answer their questions patiently, and give them time to think and decide, critical. But at the same time, keep the information to yourself would be a bad idea. These are people who need information, they rely on information. And if you're going to pressure them for immediate decisions, it's going to backfire on you. And if you're going to be too chatty, they're probably going to be turned off.
Okay. Now the I style, what is this about?
Oh, those are the people you love to see in networking events. They're the sociable ones. They're the talkative ones. They're very open. They're usually very enthusiastic and full of energy. You probably have some on your team right now, right?
Right.
All right. They're spontaneous, they're persuasive, and sometimes a bit emotional. So you got to be careful. Here are the things you want to make sure you do. Show your enthusiasm. Smile with them. Chat with them. Focus on the positive and make it fun. And let them talk. They love to talk. But gosh, you got to avoid putting them down, because if you try to dampen their enthusiasm, you're going to turn them off. And if you focus on nothing but details, again, you're probably going to lose them. And the last thing is, don't react negatively. Remain positive with them at all times.